Hi guys, so Keir Starmer was asked what I think was a pretty pointless question on BBC Radio. He was asked if Jeremy Corbyn would have been a better Prime Minister than Boris Johnson. So it was difficult for Starmer to answer this. If he answered yes, then he would face the following question of why he wanted the former leader to lose the whip, which currently he hasn't had returned. If he had answered no, then he would be basically saying that Boris Johnson would have been better than a Labour Prime Minister. I think Keir Starmer answered this pretty well. Have a listen.
It comes to judgment, what a lot of people who were put off Labour last time might say to you is, hang on a second, Keir Starmer, you are the guy, very senior lieutenant, who tried to make Jeremy Corbyn Prime Minister.
Tried to make Jeremy Corbyn Prime Minister because that was his job. That was the job of every MP. That was the job of every supporter of the Labour Party. To get out, knock on doors, and convince the public to vote for the Labour Party. Now, notice that the journalist here said that people were turned off from the Labour Party. Now, some people were turned off from the Labour Party, some people were turned off by the leader. I know that not many people want to hear that, but that's the truth. Many people decided, I'm not going to vote for the Labour Party because of the leader. But it was the job of MPs, including Keir Starmer, to convince the public to vote for the party and vote for the party with its leader. If he didn't do that, he shouldn't have been a member of Parliament for the Labour Party, or he shouldn't even have been a member of the Labour Party.
Are you still convinced that Jeremy Corbyn would have been a better Prime Minister?
Well, look, the public gave us our verdict on that argument pretty strongly in 2019.
Are you still convinced that he would have been a better Prime Minister?
We lost. A Labour government would be far better than the government we've got. But
Jeremy Corbyn would have been a better Prime Minister than Boris Johnson?
What I've been doing is I've recognised the scale of what happened in 2019.
Just on that question, do you think Jeremy Corbyn would have been a better Prime Minister?
Well, look, what have we got with the Prime Minister? We've got a Prime Minister who has...
I'm interested that you just won't answer that question.
Well, a Labour government...
Now, you're probably wondering, why can't Keir Starmer answer the question? But there's a reason why, because he knows that if he says, yes, Jeremy Corbyn would have been a better Prime Minister than Boris Johnson, and we all know, everyone, pretty much everyone, apart from, hardline Boris Johnson supporters, but the general public and most people understand that anyone would have been better than Boris Johnson. Take a random person off the street and they would have been a better Prime Minister than Boris Johnson. So yes, Jeremy Corbyn would have been a better Prime Minister. But if Keir Starmer says this, he's undermining his own position. Then he has to define himself against Jeremy Corbyn. He has to compare himself to Jeremy Corbyn. And this is a distraction, because what Keir Starmer wants to do is compare himself with Boris Johnson. So he has to convince the journalist or the reporter to stop talking about Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn is old news, is yesterday's news. And the more you talk about Jeremy Corbyn, the more of a problem it is for Keir Starmer. Starmer wants to be compared with Boris Johnson, who's the Prime Minister. He's not running against Jeremy Corbyn, he's running against Boris Johnson. Now, you probably think, well, why doesn't he just say yes, he would be? Because if he does, then he opens a bit of a nest, a hornet's nest, because there have been allegations against Corbyn, that he is connected with people who are anti-Semitic, and he wasn't willing to punish these people when he was the leader of the party. Look, I'm not getting into that now, but that's a distraction. It's a massive distraction for Keir Starmer, and he doesn't want that type of distraction. He wants the voters to compare him with the current leader of the Conservatives, Boris Johnson.
Government is always better than a Conservative government.
So Jeremy Corbyn would have been a better Prime Minister?
We lost very badly in 2019, and my job as leader of the Labour Party has been to change our party, turn it around, and that's what we've been doing. Appreciate that the rule changes that we had at conference a boring process.
So this is quite clever. He's talking about changes that of course impact Jeremy Corbyn and his supporters, but he's not mentioning Jeremy Corbyn. I think this is clever. He wants to separate himself from the old party, that of the previous leader. And this is normal. This is a normal behavior for a leader. He doesn't want to be compared with Jeremy Corbyn. He doesn't want to be compared with Gordon Brown or Tony Blair or anyone else. He wants to be compared with the current Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, because that's who he's running against.
But they don't half show that we've changed the Labour Party, and to set out a positive case for the future, but also to draw a distinction between my instincts and the instincts of the Prime Minister. I think that by and large in Britain, people believe that we should play by the rules, get on by playing by the rules, and you don't rip the rules up just to protect a mate. The instinct of the Prime Minister and my instincts are in completely different places on this.
Well said. The journalist here attempted to throw a distractor here, introduce Jeremy Corbyn. And look, this is not about Jeremy Corbyn. This is about Keir Starmer. And as Starmer knows, the more you talk about the Labour Party or the past of the Labour Party or former leaders, it's a distraction. He needs to convince the public, look, at the next election, there's a choice. Do you want Boris Johnson, who's incompetent, or do you want me, who's articulate? Do you want Boris Johnson, who's a clown, or do you want me, who's a professional? And I think he needs to continue to push this idea. And any talk about Jeremy Corbyn or Tony Blair or anyone else needs to be seen. He needs to identify it, and he needs to distract it away. He needs to deflect it. He needs to deflect it away from himself. He needs to demonstrate, I am the person you need to vote for at the next election. Not Jeremy Corbyn, not Tony Blair, not Gordon Brown, anyone else. I am the guy. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you thought about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?